Hey guys, it's Mikexingchen. Nowadays, when you go online, there are a ton of videos about life hacks or cleaning hacks or food hacks. And yeah, I guess they do make your life easier if you ever wanted to clean your toilet with a can of Coke. But did you know there are actually really useful hacks out there that could change, well, you. And this can be accomplished by hacking one of the least understood organs in the human body, the brain. The brain is probably the most fascinating and, like I said, least understood organ inside the human body. Some scientists have even dared to say that it's a lot like the mysterious universe we currently live in, filled with undiscovered secrets and wonder. Hence, it is really no surprise that the human brain is regarded as among the final frontiers of scientific exploration and discovery. I mean, in the last decade alone, amazing advancements have been achieved in understanding the human brain, and futuristic plans have been set in place in pursuit of exploring and expanding its abilities and power. Of course, the brain is very much capable of doing amazing things on its own without much need for technological supplementation. And scientists have done a lot of research and conducted several studies that prove how powerful the human mind is. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to harness some of that power to make your life just a teensy bit easier. So here are 5 brain hacks that could really improve your life. Number 1, eyebrow raising. Okay, this first one really doesn't have much to do with our brain activity, but you might be surprised just how much it helps stimulate our mental process. Raising our eyebrows may be a pretty mundane habit that most of us do on a daily basis, but did you know that it can actually help us become more creative? In a research article published in a creative research journal back in 2003, it was determined that the simple action of raising our eyebrows stimulates people's perceptual attention, which is concerned with our physical experiences, and is also another type of attention related to our brain's mental processes. Through the study, it was determined that the subjects who raised their eyebrows were more perceptually attentive, thus allowing the scope of their conceptual attention to broaden as well. This allows for a more non-linear kind of thinking, with the brain being able to make a wide variety of creative connections that it would not ordinarily come up with. The same study also found that the subjects who squinted while looking at images showed diminished perceptual attention and displayed less creativity than those who raised their eyebrows. Next up, smelling peppermint. Consuming peppermint has a lot of health benefits, particularly in making sure you always have fresh breath, and it helps soothe the stomach. But even just smelling peppermint can have remarkable effects on the brain, significantly enhancing its cognitive functions. According to a study from the Wheeling Jesuit University, peppermint, along with cinnamon and other scents, are natural enhancers of memory, perception, as well as other cognitive functions. Results of the study showed that the participants who completed cognitive tasks while they chewed peppermint-flavored gums displayed enhanced working memory as well as better visual motor response speed. Exposure to the odors of peppermint while taking a cognitive assessment also enhanced the subject's cognitive performance. Other studies have also shown similar evidences of peppermint's positive impact on people's mental aptitude. Number 3, creating a memory palace. Now, human memory is not all perfect. We don't automatically record all information that comes our way, and even when we do try to memorize them, recalling certain details can get extremely difficult, especially if you haven't accessed and rehearsed that information for quite some time. But did you know that there is a memory hack believed to date all the way back to the ancient times, which improves regular people's ability to memorize long lists of information? The technique is referred to as the method of Loci, and it involves creating a memory palace inside your mind. To build this memory palace, you must associate specific details to a certain memory image or item in a familiar setting. For example, the inside of your home or the different buildings and landmarks situated in your town. Various studies have proven how effective the method of Loci is in utilizing our spatial memory to memorize lists of information better and recall them more easily than usual. Next, learning by spaced repetition. Whether in school or at work, we all find ourselves in extremely difficult situations when we are required to learn and remember a massive amount of information all within a very limited period of time. For many of us, we often resort to traditional study techniques, which typically involved flipping through the pages of a textbook several times, hoping that we would recall, or in my case, sleeping on the textbook overnight, hoping that we would recall enough information to pass an exam. However, neuroscientific and psychological research have determined that not only is this this method boring and exhausting, is also quite ineffective. But one of the most interesting alternative study techniques suggested by researchers is what they call spaced repetition. This is an effective brain hack around the forgetting curve. Essentially, this technique helps people retain long-term knowledge by having individuals systematically revisit the information they learn at established intervals, allowing them to learn as much as they could in less time than they ordinarily would require using typical learning strategies. A good example of spaced repetition is the Lightner system. To set this up, you need to write down pieces of information you need to memorize on several flashcards, which you will then place inside a box. You will study the content of these flashcards, and you will establish a schedule of when you will be revisiting the cards and testing how well you recall what they contain. Correctly answered cards will be among those you will revisit less frequently in the foreseeable future, while incorrectly answered cards will be placed into the section you have scheduled to revisit it more frequently. Next up, this might seem a little crazy. Induced hallucination through the Ganzfeld effect. Now, many of us have experienced instances wherein our minds had played tricks on us, whether seeing or hearing things that aren't physically supposed to be there, or hallucinating experiences that should in no way happen in the real world. These unusual experiences are sometimes symptoms of a psychological illness or a neurological disorder, or are chemically induced by drugs. And sometimes it may really just be nothing more than a fluke. But did you know that there is a brain hack through which you can legally induce a hallucination? Experiencing this illusion of perception is known as the Ganzfeld effect, which essentially involves reducing sensory inputs. This perceptual deprivation forces the brain to amplify neural noise to search for the eliminated visual signals. And when the brain is unable to find these signals, it interprets the neural noise in the higher visual cortex, producing its own signals that subsequently trigger the hallucinations. The Ganzfeld effect is also related to the parapsychological technique referred to as the Ganzfeld experiment, which is utilized by pseudoscientific experts to test people's extrasensory perception, or ESP. However, this technique is largely criticized by mainstream scientists as they do not consider it a verifiable and replicable method to test telepathy. Now, to experience the Ganzfeld effect for yourself, you need a ping pong ball, headphones, a radio, and a red light. First, you need to tune your radio to a station with static noise. Plug in your headphones and place them over your ears. You also need to cut the ping pong ball in half and securely place each one over your eye. So yeah, you're gonna kind of look like Ultraman. Then turn on the red light and make sure you're facing it. And then just stay in that position for at least 30 minutes and just see what happens. Now, I gotta warn you guys, not everybody gets to be sprinkled with fairy dust and fly off to Neverland in their hallucinations. Maybe you'll end up in a campground with Jason Voorhees trying to chop up your head. Now, these 5 hacks I talked about are just a few of many tricks that can help expand your brain's mind-blowing capabilities. And like I said, the brain is still very much an enigma. We all know that it's powerful, we just don't know how much it's capable of. Anyway, try these out, let me know if it works for you. And the hallucination part, I mean, that's something I personally would never try. So whatever you do, guys, do be very careful. All right, thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you later.